just to be against something. So much of our politics has become what you're against. And the reason you're here is you want to be for something. That's what America's about. It's not about putting somebody else down. It's about affirming what we can accomplish together as a nation. That we can squarely meet the challenges that we face. We won't blink, we won't shirk, we won't shy away. We'll face them head on and we will overcome them and create a country that is more prosperous and more unified than it was before. That's our challenge. And we have real challenges. You know them in your own lives. And I meet people every day who talk about the struggles they're going through. I met a woman, college age. She's going to school full-time, but she's got a sister who has cerebral palsy. And so after she goes to school full-time, she comes home, takes care of her sister, fixes dinner, puts her to bed, then does her homework. She goes to bed about 10, and then wakes up at 1 o'clock in the morning to work the night shift at FedEx, taking packages out to airplanes. She gets 3 hours of sleep a night. That's what she has to do to try to pay for her tuition and support her sister. You know, when she told me these stories, she wasn't telling them out of self-pity. She was determined she was going to graduate and make a better life for herself. But she couldn't understand why the government wasn't more determined to help her. Help her finance her college education, help give better health care or home care to her sister. She didn't feel like Washington was listening to her, understood her story. I met another woman, 61 years old, named Pauline Beck, works as a home care worker in Oakland, California. And I went with her because the union she's with, Service Employees International Union, organized, SEIU's in the house, organized each presidential candidate to walk in the shoes of one of their members for a day. And so I went to the house of an 86-year-old amputee who Miss Beck looks after every day. And I did what she did every day, what she does every day. Help him out of bed and put him into a wheelchair, help him get dressed, fix him breakfast, clean the house, do the laundry. And my wife, by the way, couldn't believe it when she heard about this. I had to show her video of me doing some work around the house. But listening to Pauline Beck talk about the hardships of her life, without a trace of self-pity, glad she could be of service to somebody, but also just hoping that maybe she could get a little more pay to help support 2 foster kids that she's taken into her home. Hoping that maybe she could have a little more security in her retirement, or could have a day off once in a while, because she can't afford to take a day off right now. You know, I was reminded of what the American people are about. There are millions of people like Pauline Beck, all across this country, working hard. And they don't expect government to solve all their problems. They don't want them to. The American people are self-reliant. They are independent. They are proud. And they are willing to work hard for their piece of the American dream. But what they do hope is that government will listen to them. All those guys who've been laid off because the plant closed here in Pennsylvania, and suddenly they don't have a job, they don't have a pension, they don't have health care. They're not looking for a handout, they just want to work and support a family. And they don't feel like anybody's listening to them. Those folks who are now at risk of losing their home because nobody was regulating the mortgage lending industry, and predatory loans and deceptive practices were out there. And nobody was overseeing them because the mortgage lending industry spent $185 million lobbying against tighter regulation. They don't want a handout from government, they just want somebody who's looking out for them. That's what is at stake in this election. I admire Senator Clinton. She is an intelligent and dedicated public servant. But in the debates over the last year, the major difference that I have with her is she thinks that it's okay how things work in Washington. Her basic argument is we just need to change political parties. But you know what? We've been talking about health care reform for decades now through Democratic and Republican administrations. And the drug and the insurance companies have spent $1 billion over the last decade preventing change from happening. Just because we have Democrat in the White House doesn't mean that things are going to change. We've been talking about energy independence for decades now. And the only thing that's changed is gas prices have gone up and ExxonMobil's making $11 billion per quarter. And you are struggling to fill up your gas tank. It's not enough just to change political parties in the White House. We've got to change how politics is done in this country, how politics